Greetings YouTube and welcome to my latest weapons build. Not long ago I built a flail with a kind of strange steel head that was made from a piece of tubing and cut on a bias so it had a kind of an angle and a point on either end. And that got me thinking about what else could I produce to make a flail out of, which is when I had some inspiration. So here's the inspiration. This is an better half unsweetened coconut cream and almond milk coffee thing my wife drinks with her coffee. But I like the container. It's a nice size. So I own cement. So I am going to make a mace head out of cement. Now, a mace head made purely out of cement is not going to be particularly durable. So I thought I would reinforce it. And what am I going to reinforce it with? Steel. So this right here at the moment is a little bit too big. I'm going to reshape that till it fits all the way into the bottom. And I'm going to put bolts. These are some 3/8 by 1 inch 16 thread bolts into each of these holes. And these are just going to be basically there to fill the hole up and to give I'll put a nut to hold it in place, and I'll put a nut at the top that will not be tightened. And that's there to help lock the cement into the piece. And there will be one in the middle, which will have large washers like this, because that hole is kind of big, so I'm kind of compensating for that with these large washers. And then I'm going to put the bolt in there, and then I'm going to attach this eye bolt with one of these, which is designed for connecting threaded rod together to make longer threaded rods. Essentially what I'm doing here. So I'm going to make it like that, so this nut won't be there. So they'll be right in the center, and that'll be holding it together. And this is also going to be how the head is going to be attached to the chain via this link here. So this is all going to come together so that this can then be attached to a piece of chain. This handle is going to be exactly the same as the handle I made for the other one. It's going to be wrapped. It's going to have a cap on the end. I'll drill a hole here. I'll pass a 1/4 20 bolt through there and use that to hold the piece of chain in place. So this handle will not, the build on the handle will not be shown in this video. Go look at the other one. We're just going to concentrate about this. So the first task I'm going to do is to reshape this. And there it goes. It fits now. I solved my problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably install this, simply because that will give me a handle for moving it in and out of the container, so I can see when it makes me happy and when I'm all set. And this is not actually square. I think this is slightly rectangular. So this is going to end being also slightly rectangular. I will grind 2 faces, one on either side, until I'm happy with how it fits in that orientation. You know, I can just do this until I get the right spacing, and then I will then do the other 2 faces to get the fit. And when I get it done, I will mark on here and on here whatever direction it is supposed to be pointing in, so that I know which orientation it is for the final assembly. And I will then take it upstairs into my kitchen, because that's the place where I've got a sink at the moment. I don't have a sink hooked up in the basement. I need to do that. And then I will make the cement and pour the cement into the container. And once the cement has been, set up, I will then let it cure for the full, probably for a full week. And I can make this part today if I really feeling like it. Depends on how much I feel like being in the shop today. So the first part of this process is going to be to assemble this on here so I have a handle, then get myself geared up so that I can start using an angle grinder to start with the flap wheel, which I think awesomely might actually already be in my angle grinder. Yay! Then so I can start grinding and fitting this in here. I'm probably not going to assemble the other ones yet, because I need to be able to grab this in a vise to hold it. So the other bolt will not be assembled until I'm happy with the overall shape and size. So that's the first step of this process. This is a quick section of what the sub-assembly looks like fully assembled. So there we go. So I've got this all put together. That is not coming loose, and it's not going to leak cement through. And the other screws, the other bolts are going to be doing very much the same thing. I don't want the cement leaking through to this side. I want this side to be on the outside, to be visible, and then the cement to be attached to it, to the rest. So that's what it's going to look like. Now it's a matter of putting it in a device like this, obviously tightening it down, and to start grinding down each side a little bit till I get it to fit in there. I'm going to take some measurements and see how much I think I have to remove, so I have a rough idea. I can probably make some marks on there so I can have a rough idea of how much I've taken off of each side. I have reshaped the plate and installed all the nuts and bolts in it, so it is all set. Those aren't as long as they need to be. The problem is that I didn't have access to longer bolts that would have worked with this plate, because the other ones they had a little straight section here of steel without threads, and I wasn't sure if that was going to work for me. So I didn't get the 1.5 inch, I got the 1 inch, so I'm not going to put nuts on here because that really isn't going to increase the amount of hold power that this is going to have. But realize that when the block of cement is going to come up to like the threads. Okay, I'm bringing the block of cement all the way up to the threads. And I can put this in the box for you, and I'll show you in a second, but I can't take it out with one hand because you have to hold the box to take it off. But it is the right shape, so it's going to go like this, just like that. And then I will fill up the box with cement up to the threads, and then I let it sit for a week. Then I don't touch it. And then I work on the handle, which I may do that right now. I may work on the handle right now and get that taken care of, and then take this upstairs and work on it upstairs. There's no reason for it to go upstairs and then come back downstairs, because once I go upstairs, this can just stay upstairs until it hardens. It doesn't have to be in any particular place. Hardening is hardening. So so far, this has been a pretty low-tech process. I mean, this is a salvage box. I did have to reshape this plate slightly, and the plate was a piece of scrap I picked up at an estate sale. I think I paid $0.25 for that, maybe, if that, for that plate. So that's not much of a buy-in. The fasteners are by far the most expensive thing probably involved in this. Oh no, the tubing was $9. Maybe the tubing might be $9. I already had the cap. Tubing might be the most expensive, and I already got the chain. The chain was wicked cheap. I think I paid like $2 for a 12 or 15 foot piece of chain. So yeah, I think I'm wound down here. I'm going to put this aside, and then I will work on the handle and get that taken care of, get it wrapped and all that stuff, and get the chain attached. So when I'm done and I can come back next week, it'll just be a process of attaching this to this. And I'm probably going to have to bend this. I haven't tried it yet to see if that gap will fit on here. I get the feeling it probably won't. It'll fit on the chain. The chain's a slightly smaller diameter than this is. But yeah, I may have to bend this to get it around the chain and then bend it back again. It's not the first time I've used one of these that I had to bend them to get them to fit onto the project that I'm working on. Because normally it's just used for chain, and this is pretty big. Not a lot of people use a piece of chain that's 3/8 inches in diameter. That's a big hefty piece of chain. Not that I don't have any like that, mind, but most people don't use it. Alrighty, so work on the handle next, and then I'll take you upstairs and I'll mix up the cement, and I'll show you that. I picked up this jar of 1/4-20 bolts at an estate sale, I think, and I think I paid $1 for this entire thing, and it is worth its weight in silver. I'm telling you, I have used so many bolts from this. I'll be using this bolt and this salvage screw to attach this chain to this shaft with that hole. Now it's going to be time for wrapping, and then assembly, and then I will be finished with the handle. I mean, this is a real quick process. You just drill in 2 holes to this, and I used my Blair roto broach to just blow 2 through holes in there, and I made them slightly over so I have a little slop in there, which is always useful because the roto broach is too big to go all the way through. I can't do a through hole, so I have to do a hole, turn it, and then do another hole. So there's always a possibility that things aren't going to line up perfectly. So I like to give myself a little elbow room, if you know what I mean. But yeah, Go to estate sales, man. Go to yard sales. You can get some incredible deals. This portion of the build is done. The handle is wrapped, butt cap in place, chain attached. I cut the bolt off so it's flush. So all done. I did have to grind a high spot off of the link that's inside because this is welded, so the weld had to be ground off right there to fit inside there, but that's no big deal. That's why the gods made belt sanders. So there you go. This part is all set, so now it's upstairs to mix some cement and make my striking head. This is going to be cool, or it's going to fail. Let's see which. Here's a really exotic and exciting part of a craft project, of one of my weapon builds. I have to do the dishes so the sink is clean. Sometimes life does intrude on my little endeavors. So here we have some Quickcrete water stop concrete, cement rather, and the reason I'm using this is because it's very fine. Here we have the container I'm going to mix it in from my fiber, and here we have the container that shall hold it when I'm done, and the object I shall sink into it. And I have this dollar store spoon, literally a dollar store spoon that I purchased specifically to use with my cement, so I'm not mucking up something that might be used for food. So the next thing I'm going to do is put some gloves on, and then pretty much bring this all the way up, almost all the way up with cement, almost all the way up, and then I will put a little in here and a little water, mix it, water, until this is empty and this is full. Not full, but all the mixture's in there. Then thoroughly mix it, put that in there, and then fill it back up again, and hope for the best. That's my goal. Hope for the best. I should be able to rinse this out and reuse it. Oh, I should probably get that powder out of the bottom too. Unless I guess I could just make my cement smell like orange flavor, because that's what this stuff is. But I'll probably knock that out first. All right, so that's the next stage. Is going to be measuring, and then mixing, and then back in there once that has been placed. So you'll see the final project for you in a couple of seconds. So there we have my finished mold with stuff in it. Now, I unfortunately had to do this without gloves because I called my wife and said, "Sweetie, where are our gloves?" And she's like, "Oh, I used the last ones up to clean the toilet." So yeah, I don't have any gloves, so I did this barehanded. I don't recommend that. I think I may have mixed it a smidge dry. We're going to find that out. And I think there may be a slight void near the bottom on one side. And again, we're going to find that out. But it's got a nice heft to it at the minute. We'll see how much of that heft goes down after it dries. And I'm going to go put it on the porch where it's nice and warm out there all the time, because it's where the sun hits. And let it sit there for a week. And in a week, we'll see what we get. So this is the next stage. And even if I fail at this, I still have half of a flail. I'll find something to attach to it. I would like to attach this because I think it would be cool, and it's got that wonderful Wasteland vibe. But we'll see what it looks like. So in a week, we're going to break this open, and we're going to give it a go. See how it turns out. So for you folks, a few seconds. For me, 7 days. Things did not quite go as planned. The mix was a little dry. So, the mix did not fill in everywhere it should have filled in. However, it did adhere itself to the plate because this bolt right here goes all the way through to there. So there's no chance this is going to come off. And the striking object is mostly this plate. Right here. So this was just there to add mass, and as mass, that works. In addition, I am going for a post-apocalyptic aesthetic, and let's face it, this looks like a post-apocalyptic aesthetic. So now I need to get my my chain and the rest of my coupler, and then put this whole thing together. And it should just be a few minutes of work. We're going to see if it's going to be a few minutes of work. I would like it to be a few minutes of work. But that's the next step, is to join the chain and this head together to make one cohesive unit. And as predicted, I had to bend this open to get it over this, or this into there, depends how you want to look at it, because this opening is big enough for this chain, but not large enough to get this, which is much thicker. So I just bent it sideways, assembled it, and then bent it back again, just using my vise and an adjustable wrench. That's it, a 12-inch adjustable wrench, so I have some leverage. So the entire flail is now complete. I'm going to take it outside and take some shots of it, both for here on this video, to post on my DeviantArt, and to post on my Instagram. Though the DeviantArt pictures will be the easiest to find because they're permanent. They stay there. They're not going anywhere. So yeah, I'm still happy the way this came out, even though it did not flow perfectly. I did not mix the cement with enough water. I am still learning. This is the only second time I've ever used cement at all. The first one actually flowed a little bit better, but I didn't use enough of it. This time I used the correct quantity, but I didn't mix it thin enough. So now I know to mix it far thinner than I think it needs to be, because I am going to let it, harden for a week, so that you're going to lose a lot of moisture out of that process. So I need to get it thinner than I think it needs to be, because apparently my judgment on this particular topic is not good. But, live and learn. There's always a learning curve, and I didn't destroy the project because, again, I am going for the post-apocalyptic aesthetic, so it's hard to lose on this. And I know people are going to tell me, but that chain's too long. I like the length of the chain. I know it's long. It's like 18 links long. I know it's long. But I like the way it looks. I like the proportions it's got. So the handle and the chain are roughly the same length. And I know that I don't know anybody out there, other than maybe the Rock and the Mountain, that could use this thing one-handed. The rest of us are going to have to use two. But definitely, this came out very well. I'm happy with this project, and it does lead me to new ideas that I can use cement for in the future. I have some mace ideas I would like to use, not just with cement, but using cement to lock in bolts to become striking heads, or points to become striking points. So turning it into a morning star with a concrete core, or a cement core, I should say, not concrete. Concrete is cement with an aggregate. Cement is just cement. So this is the end of this particular project. I'm quite happy how it came out. And I hope that all of you have enjoyed it and will be here for the next weapon build video.